The Marine Corps, we have a model. When we go to an area, we leave with those who we brought, whether they're alive or deceased. We bring them out.
Of all the things that I did, I still think the greatest thing that I achieved was the opportunity to serve my country.
All you could think about was what we did because we needed to do it for our country.
We get up every morning and go ahead. Every day we went ahead. No beds to sleep in. Sometimes you just lay on the ground and go to sleep.
When the war broke out, I went to enlist in the Naval Air Corps. After being turned down 3 times by them, I went down to the Army Air Corps, and within a week I was gone. And that's how I got in the service.
You're looking at one of the oldest Marine Corps drill instructors living. General Lewis H. Wilson said to me, "Do you want to go down to the drill field again?" I said, "No."
I was taking flying lessons before the war started. I had never intended to do anything with it except just fly for my pleasure. Then when the war started and there was a tremendous shortage of pilots, they went to the women who had licenses to help.
I was off to Lehigh University in Pennsylvania to study for a PhD in mathematics, and decided at that time if I was going to get drafted, I would rather go in the Navy and try and be a pilot.
I served for 20 years in the Marine Corps. They sent me to guard President Kennedy. It's about 4 days. The Secret Service closed the door behind him, and they stated their job was to stay inside the meeting. I was on the outside and no one was going in, and they didn't.
I was 18 years old and I went to Fort Knox, and I did my training there, and you did a job, big job there. I was the tank commander, master sergeant, and I tried to do my tank work the best I could.
But what the major said, Estes, is that we need Marines like you down there on the drill field again. I was lean and I was mean.
Went through basic flight training. At the end of that time, at the end of the year and a half, I got my wings, designated Naval Aviator. I was very, very proud.
I was probably in the service about 6 months before I was assigned to a B-17. A B-17 consists of 10 members. I was the tail gunner. Every mission we would encounter flak.
It was in 1943, and they were just really desperate for airplanes, you know. I was approached by my teacher, and she said, "Honey, how would you like to make airplanes?"
We went through the same physical requirements and the same training that the aviation cadets, the male cadets, went through. And I had the privilege of being one of the first women in this country to fly military aircraft.
I got the Bronze Star for Vietnam. I was there for the famous Tet offensive. We were there with 3 divisions.
You gotta do your part and a little more than that. And you gotta learn how to drive, fire, and fix. You learn your tank so you know what your tank can do. Then you learn their tank and see what their tank can do, and make sure our tank was better than theirs. And not just a little better, a lot better.
Well, I was in New Guinea, I was in the Philippine Islands, and I was in Okinawa. I was in mostly B-25s. We flew bombing missions.
Taught me how to sink, countersink rivets, and how to buck rivets inside of a jig. And we made leading edges and trailing edges of B-17s.
We were hired as civilians because there was no legislation that provided for women military pilots in the Air Force. And we eventually received veterans benefits. We were recognized as veterans.
Spend the days in a foxhole, and naturally, mine happened to be overlooking the German town. And I didn't dare stick my head up during the day because of the snipers. But hey, I lived through it.
The people in the Navy are the thing that really make it the Navy. You can learn a lot and grow a lot and be a much better person, I think, for having done that.
I'm so pleased that there are so many military pilots now, women pilots, and we're very proud of them. They do a wonderful job. We'd like to see more of them.
I've been so blessed in my life. It makes me feel so proud to think that we were the forerunners of all that. We really were, you know. I just never thought that I would ever be able to make an airplane.
To be able to say I was a naval aviator is very special to me.
To realize that they can trust the man beside them on the left and on the right, and they either got their front and their back covered. And that's the way I was proud of.
By serving your country, you have a great deal of gratitude on what you received from your country. Once a Marine, always a Marine.